Good morning. I'm Pastor James Chester, pastor of Orthodox Zion Church here in West Palm Beach, Florida. We're living in unprecedented times in which houses of worship are being targeted with all type of evil, including active shooters. In the recent lockdown of America, people are more agitated and impatient than ever. Because of this, the threats of house of worships are increasing. But as a pastor, I must understand the times in which we are living and also understand what we should do. Two of my many jobs as a pastor, one is to be able to shepherd the flock of God, which means caring and protecting them. Number two, to equip the saints to do the work of ministry, which means training the workers in the ministry of service. I am not only protecting and caring for the flock, but I do that by having one of the state-of-the-art security ministry here at the O. Not only are they active, but they are proactive. We are currently training our members in what to do in case of an active shooter. We have with us today one of our lead security trainers, Brother Stanley Woods.
In an emergency situation, the manner in which you respond is crucial. In an active shooter situation, your response can be the difference between life and death. Many people view church as a place of sanctuary and safety, spiritually and emotionally. There are some people who may see churches as a vulnerable, target-rich environment where they can wreak havoc and cause many casualties. However, the actions you and others take when someone starts shooting can make these places and you less vulnerable. If you're in a church or any location and someone starts shooting, your first instinct and action should be to run. Run away from the shooter to a place where you feel safe. If you're in an area where the shooting is taking place, make yourself less of a target as you run. Crouch down, run low, get as close to the floor as possible while moving away. If for whatever reason you're unable to run, hide. Try to find something to conceal yourself, or at a minimum, make yourself as small as possible. For the elderly and for the handicapped, this may be difficult, but just make yourself as small as you can while you're in place. Become less of a target. If you're in an open area like a church sanctuary, there likely won't be many places to hide. Get under the pews or chairs. If the shooter doesn't see you, the shooter won't target you. Do whatever you can to become less of a target. Understand, in many churches today, there are security teams in place, armed and prepared to engage a shooter. These people are current and former law enforcement officers and trained security professionals. By knowing what to do and taking the appropriate action during the chaos that will ensue when shots are fired, your quick and appropriate response will aid the security team in identifying and successfully neutralizing the shooter. Those of us who are prepared to engage a shooter need you to help make the situation less chaotic. By running away from the shooter, if you can, and by hiding and making yourself less of a target or an obstacle to the security team who's trying to engage the shooter. We understand that there are people who legally carry a weapon and are not part of the security team. For those people, it would be wise and helpful if you let someone from the security team know that you're armed. If a shooting occurs, don't display your weapon, so you won't be seen as a threat. Please understand that anyone displaying a weapon that is not known to the security team or responding law enforcement will be treated as a threat. Again, if you're in a place and someone starts shooting, your first response should be to run. Run away from the shooter. If you cannot run, hide. In an open sanctuary, again, there aren't many places to hide. Get as close to the floor as possible. Cover yourself with chairs or whatever is available. The shooter may not see you and pass you by. Additionally, when you are close to the floor, the line of sight for the security team and responding law enforcement is clearer, making it easier to engage and neutralize the shooter. If you're in another area of the building when shots are fired, stay where you are. Lock the doors. Do not open the door for anyone. Wait for law enforcement to respond and clear the building. If you are able to leave the building and you see law enforcement, put your hands in the air as you are moving away so they know that you are not a threat. If shots are still being fired as law enforcement is approaching, they will be moving to where the shots are being fired. If you have information regarding the shooter, such as race, gender, clothing, or type of weapon, and last on the location, please provide that information to the law enforcement personnel as you are exiting the building. If the shooter has been neutralized by the security team, everyone should exit the building and await the arrival of law enforcement. If the security team directs, members may be asked to render aid to an injured person. Please understand that if the shooter has not been neutralized, the injured cannot safely be cared for until the shooter is neutralized and secured. Also, law enforcement personnel must clear the building before professional medical personnel will be allowed in to care for the injured. It is understood that this is difficult and quite possibly extremely chaotic situation. That's why it's so important that we all understand what must be done to make the situation as safe as humanly possible. We ask that you do your part. Run if you can. Hide if you cannot run. And as a last resort, fight. Use chairs, books, or whatever is available to you to throw at the shooter. Throwing items at the shooter could likely distract them for enough time for you to get away or for the security team to successfully engage and neutralize the shooter. Do what it takes to survive. Know that there are trained people who are prepared to engage a threat to keep you safe. Being aware of suspicious behaviors and making the security team aware of those actions, that's the first step to keeping us all safe. Being able to socialize and worship in a safe place is what we all desire. So let's do our part by being aware of unusual and threatening behaviors. Also, if you or someone you know is having challenges dealing with life issues, assist them in finding the help they need to deal with their matters in a positive manner. We will all benefit from people feeling comfortable discussing issues and resolving them positively. Remember, whatever you do makes a difference.